And it's Mel K still at Turning Point USA in Arizona with Total News Nation. And I am here with my good friend and amazing patriot, Victor Avila. How are you doing,
I'm doing good, Mel. Great to see you.
Oh, you are here with Border 911. I just saw you on stage. Let's talk a little bit about Border 911, how you got involved and what you guys are up to.
Well, Tom Homan, the ex-director of ICE under President Trump, created this incredible team, not just because I'm on it, but he really assembled a border security team to go out and tell the American people the truth of the realities of what's happening on our southern border. It's not just illegal immigration. We've kind of been sold that lately, but it's the cartels, it's China, it's national security, it's public safety, it's the economy, it's healthcare. It's a lot of things that is impacted and are impacted in our communities all throughout. Talk about Phoenix and Arizona, throughout the country because of this disastrous, it's not a crisis, it's chaos, it's chaotic down there. On purpose and deliberate.
Yeah. What's very scary is, it's not even an infiltration at this point. It is an invasion, because when I'm looking at the numbers of what's coming over, especially what's coming through Venezuela, the Panama Canal, and then, like you said, you were on my show almost 3.5 years ago, and you said this is not a border problem. This is an interior of all of America problem. How bad has it gotten in terms of infrastructure and like the Cloward pivot strategy, like our safety nets for social services, all that must have been totally drained by now.
It's gotten worse, and you got illegal aliens, and the reason why we mention the illegal aliens because they're using the people and they're not being absorbed into the communities.
Right.
One, they don't want to be. They're not assimilating. They don't want to be Americans. They're bringing these mentalities, communism, socialism, to our country. Not because they're from Venezuela. People think, oh, they're leaving that and they are going to become capitalists. No, that's all they know.
Right.
And they want to be communists. They are they're being sent here by the regime over there to infiltrate us. But we have people being displaced in colleges throughout the United States to make room for illegal aliens to house them. I mean, we're getting out of control. And for me, it's the public safety.
I know.
In Texas last week, a 16-year-old cheerleader was murdered by an illegal alien. And I've said this all the time. I've said this many times on your show. That family is now a victim at the hands of an illegal alien. It's too late.
Yeah.
We have to be proactive. And we're going to fight with Border 911 to do as much as we can before we take over in 2024.
Yeah, you have been. I mean, if you guys don't know, I'm sure if you know my show, you've seen Victor on there. He was a Border Patrol agent and nearly died. His partner died at the border before all of this happened. And during the Trump administration, he was really helping. So how much was dismantled? And in terms of how much was dismantled in this 3.5 years? And I know you're involved with Tom Homan and others that are giving Donald Trump how to get back on track. But how much was dismantled, and what is the process, do you think, of actually unraveling some of the damage?
It was completely dismantled. All of it, and even more. Now they've gone above and beyond the dismantling. And it's not just the policies, it's the sheer lawlessness that we're seeing. It is very frustrating as a law and order guy to see them completely ignore our Constitution, our own immigration law, but they have destroyed it. Now, that's the hard part of trying to put something back together. There's some easy parts that we're going to be able to secure the border and have Border Patrol agents do their job. That's going to be the easy part. Right. There's going to be other difficult parts because they have really destroyed and brought in millions of people that it's going to take a while for us to go get them. We are.
I know you
but we're not going to get all of them. We're not going to get to 35 million or however. We don't even know how many there are in here.
Right.
But we're going to make an example and say, listen, you're going to come to the United States, you're going to respect our sovereignty, our Constitution, something that these people don't want to do.
They don't even know it. That's the worst part. And now what we're hearing, and you had warned about this, I distinctly remember you talking about it. In California, they're now talking about letting illegals be cops.
Oh,
then you had Dick Durbin on the ground talking about letting illegals fight in our military. Fight for what? If they're not fighting and they're not American, they don't know the Constitution, they don't have a loyalty to our nation or our flag, then what does that even entail?
And this is what just enrages me because they're telling us.
Yeah.
They told us they were going to abolish ICE. They told, what, they couldn't do it with the money, so they took away their authority.
Right.
And this is what people need to understand is the police officers, how in the world do you let an illegal alien carry a badge and a gun? They had to change their own laws and their own policies in order for them to carry it on the job and off duty. It's just crazy, right? The other thing, the military, oh my God. Well, you see, they're telling us that they're not only going to be counted as voters, and they're going to get more congressmen, right? They're going to be counted in the census illegally.
Yes.
They're going to vote illegally. So they're going to be using them for all aspects. The military, are you kidding me? Some of these people are already soldiers, by the way, from Venezuela and other countries. And now you're going to arm them
they're
and train them? They're already trained.
Now they're going to come in and have all of our extra
If this
equipment and
doesn't
everything.
concern you,
Oh
and to
my
me,
God.
obviously, it's a fentanyl and the human trafficking. Should not be a partisan issue. I don't know why the left treats it as such.
I know. Isn't it amazing though? Don't you see that? Yesterday they were I saw all the usual suspects from the left. They're getting out there. Most of them are Democrat Socialists of America, and all they want is to abolish America as it stands. No private property, no children are not that belong to the state, no God. I mean, they don't even hide it. But they're out there all saying that if anyone wants to shut down the border, I mean, they were on MSNBC, CNN,
Oh, yeah.
one after another, that they're racist.
We're the bad
somehow.
guys. We're the bad guys.
And it's just so crazy. They don't take into account any of that. Now, let's talk a little bit about what is happening with the fentanyl and the drugs. Now, people look at the border, but what's happening? Let me ask you, is it a organized kind of RICO drug cartel situation where the CCP, the drug cartels, and our own government are spreading this group out throughout the country? Is it organized drug trafficking, or are they sending them to places separately, or is it a bigger picture? Because you're the one who told me,
Yes.
we got to stop looking at cartels as like a bunch of guys in Mexico
Right.
shooting at each
Thank
other.
you.
They're billion-dollar corporations.
I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah.
They're highly sophisticated terrorists.
Right.
That's it. That's what
Yes,
it comes down to.
Exactly.
But when I emphasize this, I emphasize it because it's true. They're not gangs. They're not even drug gangs
Right.
anymore. This is the way I'll put it. The cartels are the soldiers. If you think about it, they're lower level,
Right.
and they're the billionaires. And they're low-level billionaires with like Amazon, highly sophisticated intel distribution centers all over the world, and they're the soldiers. So who's above them?
Right.
China,
Yeah.
Cuba, Iran, Venezuela.
Right.
This is what we need to start looking at. This is the big picture in the U.S., that it's a national security issue. It's a public safety issue that's affecting us here. We're talking about the big picture here, about them fundamentally changing the fabric of our country.
Yeah.
And they're succeeding.
Yeah. And you know what I've been saying? A lot of times people talk about how Donald Trump would say, they're not after me, they're after you, and I'm in the way. I've been saying, no. They're not after America, they're after the world, and America is in the way. And we better start acting like it, because I feel like the rest of the world is counting on us, because this is happening everywhere, and only in America can we stop it.
If we have all these enemies, outside forces against us, why do we have to worry about them when the biggest enemy is the left within our own country, right?
Exactly.
And that's the scary part. So I'm fighting this also. We know who the left are. We know who the evildoers are. But then we got part of the Republican Party that have an R in front of his name that are just as worse. And I'm thinking, those are the ones that I'm trying to figure out what side of the... Kind of reminds me when I worked undercover when I was in Mexico.
I know. Oh my
dealing
God.
with the corruption. Like, who are you with? Who are you aligned with?
It's crazy.
But this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's scary. It is on our side, and it's disturbing going into 2024 that there are so many people that seem to be, what I call it, I say that the entire uniparty is captured by a globalist billionaire oligarchy who has no allegiance or alliance to any flag or nation or people.
Money.
And, yeah, inside
power.
and outside. So, at that time, you actually are doing something about that. So you're running for office, though you should have won land manager in Texas already. But, God, can you imagine if you did, where we'd be now?
Oh,
Such a
wow.
different place.
Oh, wow.
But you are running again and to go to Washington this time. So let's talk a little bit about what you're running for. Obviously, we know that you're very strong on the border, but how people can also find out about you and more about your platform and what you're planning to do when you get to D.C. We got to get Victor Avila to D.C. and
Absolutely.
have a say.
I'm running for U.S. Congress Texas 23, which is a district, one of the biggest districts in the country. Runs from San Antonio, Texas, all the way to El Paso.
Great.
Eagle Pass, Texas, Del Rio, El Paso. It's ground zero for what's happening at the border. And of course, the border security is my number one thing. But I'm also very in tune with the economy.
Right.
Well,
you were going to be a land management head.
Oil and gas.
Right.
And going back to energy independence. I'm big on that.
I know you are.
So I tell people, do you want me down there as a contributor and to the solution, or do you want to keep the incumbent there that continues to fight and vote with the Democrats? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right,
This
I
guy
know.
has an R in front of his name,
So
but
phony.
continues to vote with the left. Well, I don't know why. And people ask me, I don't know why. I know what I'm going to do, and I'm going to give the power back to the people where it belongs. This is a constitutional republic. Let's not forget that. I will be your voice. And yes, I understand that district better than anybody else. But we need negotiators in D.C. That's where it happens,
I
right?
know, that's
I'm
why
going to
I
go
say-
and take the negotiation with all my skills that I have as a diplomat, as an agent, and everything that I've worked, and negotiate on behalf of the people. Simple as that.
Well, that's what we need, and that's why I'm going to have you on as much as possible all throughout 2024, because what we have to do is we have to all remember that the stakes for this nation are very, very high. So let's end on that. what are, to the audience, what are the stakes in 2024 if we don't get this together? Because I say we are either going to be American citizens after that, or we're going to be global citizens controlled by a globalist billionaire oligarchy that has already captured most of our government.
And I'm the first one to tell you, I'm not a fearmonger, but this is good versus evil. Yep. This is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I don't say that lightly. We are, everybody, this is the big, most, what do they say, important election of your lifetime. I'm telling you what, I never really believe, this is the one I believe in. 2024, we better get the right person in the White House. And I think we all know who we're talking about here.
Yes, we do.
Because if we don't, we might lose our nation as we know it. We're seeing it. You don't have to guess. Even the left will tell you that they want to change it, but I'm very optimistic that we are.
I do too.
We're going to take it back. It's going to take a little bit to undo all this craziness, but we will. We'll start with the border. The economy is going to be back on track. Healthcare, the school systems,
the
education.
And all of that, as you've talked about many times, that is all hurting our healthcare, our Medicaid, Medicare, education, all of that. It's a controlled demolition of America because they want us to go into this globalist world, and we're not going to let it happen. And the more people that know it, and the last thing I do want to say, because you do live down there in Texas, I've gotten more and more people who are legal immigrants who are starting groups with other legal immigrants that are so disgusted because it is their communities, because they're going to where the people speak the same language. It's not just that they're being bussed here and there. Yeah. That's where they're gravitating to. And these legal immigrants are furious. And I've had more than one person on that came from communist countries. They're starting groups with their people too. They didn't come to America for this.
They are in worse shape than they were in some other countries. I just spoke to a lady in El Paso, Texas, a Venezuelan. She was on the sidewalk, homeless. And she tells me, I used to have a house. I said, were you in Venezuela? She's Venezuelan. She's like, no, I actually lived in Peru. A lot of them left the country a long time ago.
Right.
And I said, look at you now.
Right.
You're homeless. You have no food. And she says, yeah, I had a house. I was okay over there. I said, why did you come? Because they told me I was going to get rich. Let me tell you, you know me, I have work ethic, and my parents came to this country legally, and they worked their butt off every day for myself and my sisters, because that's part of the American dream.
I know.
And I'm living it. But that's not what this is about. That's not what this country is about. We need to go back to law and order and the protection of our sovereignty. I mean, people hear sovereignty, throw it all the time. Look at the other way around. Mexico puts Mexico first.
Yeah, every country does.
Everybody does, except but if we do, we're the bad guy, right?
Happening to us. Yeah, and that's one thing that we really have to remember: sovereignty, not just of the nation, but of the individual, because they're really infringing on our liberty and our rights every single day, every time, and it's all overreach. None of it's real. You really have to get to DC more than anyone else that I know out there.
Swamp.
So tell my audience how to support you, where to find you.
Victor Avila for Congress.com, AVILA, VictorAvilaForCongress.com. I need your donations. March 5th is our primary in Texas. That's around the corner.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not going to be outworked. We're going to hit it very, very hard. And I appreciate everybody's support.
Well, and you were going to come on the Milk Show next week, and we're going to start a campaign, and we're going to have you on every week until that happens. And make sure that you realize this isn't about what state you're in. It's about getting as many people to Washington that are fighting for America. We will either be American citizens in a nation that is sovereign with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or something that we do not want. So please follow Victor Avila, contribute to his campaign, volunteer, do whatever you can, get his name out there. Anywhere you are in America, we really need him in D.C. Thank you so much, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mel.